Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm doing a level check. This is meteorologist Steve Horstmeyer. We're getting ready for the 7:15 streaming weather show, and we're just about to hit 7:15 according to my clock. And as soon as we do, we're on the way. It's been a delightful day today. A little warmer, a little bit more humid than it was yesterday, and it is now 7:15. So hi there. I'm Steve Horstmeyer, chief meteorologist here at Fox 19 Now, and what we're looking at as a time lapse from our camera down on Newport and the Levee, and look at that. Look at the shadows move, the boats move. A beautiful day with a lot of blue sky, a few high thin clouds, and we ended up with nice humidity levels around the tri-state. As a matter of fact, that nice humidity level is about to go away. We are talking about heat index values over the 100-degree mark tomorrow, and tomorrow is a first alert weather day because of that, and the National Weather Service has a heat advisory out around the tri-state. So let's go ahead and take a look. Again, it is a first alert weather day, heat index over the 100-degree mark. That's serious, especially if you have some kind of a respiratory ailment, circulatory ailment, heart ailment. If you're in frail health, be very careful because the heat can overtax your body very, very quickly. So again, we are talking about heat index values around 100, maybe 102 or 3. When they get really serious, it's 105 to 110. But tomorrow is that first alert weather day. The air quality advisory continues until midnight. Air quality hasn't been that bad, but again, it could be unhealthy for sensitive individuals. The heat alert in effect for everybody in the Fox 19 Now viewing area tomorrow. And again, almost everybody will have a heat index of 100 or higher, and here's what it looks like. The heat index values anywhere from 98 to around the 100-degree mark, and there will be a few spots like Lebanon Airport, maybe the Batesville area around the airport there, that the heat index is higher because of that agricultural microclimate. When we talk about that, a lot of the airports that report these temperatures are small rural airports like the one in Lebanon, the Warren County Airport, and like the one outside of Batesville, which is the Hillenbrand Airport, and they're surrounded by crops, and crops transpire a lot of moisture into the air, so it's a lot more moist in those environments, and the heat index as a result is higher. But that's what it looks like as we head on into tomorrow. Again, we're looking at a big dome of hot air. That's that red dome. Now watch what happens here. It is going to stay with us for a few days and then slowly migrate off to the west. As it does, the flow over top of us becomes northwesterly. That guides a few fronts in here from Canada and somewhat cooler, less humid air. And so that is what we're expecting. We're expecting this hot air mass to kind of situate itself over the southwest, stay there for a while. It doesn't mean we're done with hot and humid weather for the summer. It does mean we're in for a break. And then cooler air masses will be guided around that big dome of high pressure into the tri-state for a few days. And we'll look at that coming up here in a couple of seconds. So once again, there it is. The hot air mass, the cooler air from Canada, and the jet stream pattern that creates this. That's a northwest flow situation. Okay. What you're looking at here is a little history. This is 8 historic days in the summer of 1934, from the 9th of July, which was 19th, of July, which was a Thursday, to the next Thursday, so 8 days. And notice the coolest high temperature in this 8-day stretch was 99. It was 105, 108, 108, 104. You can see it. Now, what we have here is also, this is the only time in Cincinnati weather history you've got an 8-day stretch where each of the 8 days is the record high for the day. Okay, and that was one of the hottest months in Cincinnati history back in 1934. But there's a caveat here. An interesting little thing that people that do climatic predictions, meaning like is the earth warming and what's the evidence, have to deal with. And at this time in 1934, the temperatures were measured in downtown Cincinnati on the roof at times of Pike's Opera House and the old post office and one or two others, because as construction continued around downtown, they kept moving it to other places. But these temperatures actually represent more of an urban heat island effect. And they were probably true. I mean, it's how hot it was in downtown Cincinnati. However, it doesn't necessarily reflect the more natural terrain like at CVG. So there is a caveat there. And that's one of the things that people that do climate research have to take into account. Oh, yeah, this was in the city. We really can't count that. So we're lucky enough here that by the end of 1947, they moved the official weather observation, well, it wasn't official at the time, but it is now considered the official, out to CVG. And CVG, even though there's been a lot of build-up around there, it still pretty much looks like the natural terrain of this area rather than the middle of the city. So those are the official high temperatures. Each one of those are record high, but they do come with a little asterisk, and that asterisk says, ooh. At that time, the temperatures were measured in downtown Cincinnati on the roof of one of the buildings. All right, so forecast then, heat index greater than 100 tomorrow, so it's a first alert weather day. Friday, hot and humid with scattered thunderstorms. Saturday, hot and humid with scattered thunderstorms. Same thing Sunday, same thing Monday, same thing Tuesday. Nothing going on right now. You can see a little bit of the cloud cover from those showers out in Illinois there. That's the high blow-off cloud cover, not rainy cloud cover, and we're not going to see any of that activity. You can see the activity there. It is trying to move, but it's weakening, and the big, dry, hot, high air mass is just going to hold it off. Now, I said dry. At the surface, it's very humid, but when you get upstairs, it's pretty dry, and so the rainfall can't really make it here through that dry air mass. Low temperatures this morning, upper 50s in Richmond and Washington Courthouse and Chillicothe. And everybody else in the low 60s, so it was delightful. I walked a couple of the dogs early this morning, and they just loved it. The high temperatures today, now these are preliminary. We haven't gotten the final numbers yet. Officially, CVG at 87. Falmouth, you hit 90, so did Middletown. Ashland, Kentucky, 91. So it was a hot day. And again, since the normal high is 86, 90 is not that far from normal. So this is kind of like a little warmer than normal day today. And 24-hour temperature change, we're anywhere from 2 to about 7 degrees warmer than this time yesterday. Airport temperatures right now in the 80s, from the low to the upper 80s. Dew point temperatures, again, reflect a couple microenvironments. This is the Lebanon Airport's observation. Okay, that is surrounded by mainly cornfields, and there's a lot of moisture that's transpired by those crops. And that moisture makes the dew point temperature higher there. Same thing with the Batesville area. The Hillenbrand Airport has crops all around it. And Madison is down by the river. I haven't really explored the airport's microclimate there, but definitely part of it has to do with the fact that it's to the southwest near the really hot air. And look at Portsmouth, the dew point's 72. But most areas have dew points in the 60s. And so enough humidity that you feel it. You can sweat a lot, but certainly not that far out of the ordinary, and certainly not oppressive around the tri-state. So let's go ahead and take a look at the 24-hour dew point temperature change. And notice Oxford's 8 degrees warmer than yesterday, along with CVG and Maysville. Others 2 to 4, some of them right around normal, but everybody is at least the same or warmer than yesterday at this time, and that's that warm, moist air gradually working its way into the tri-state. And the latest heat index, 91 in Middletown, 93 in Ashland. Maysville, you're at 92. Portsmouth at 94. Madison, 93. 92 in Shelbyville and 90 in Batesville. So it's hot out there still. And here's what we can expect over the next couple of weeks. We are looking, excuse me a second. Yeah, okay. We are looking at the temperature, the dew point, and the heat index. So we'll stop it here. So we head on into tomorrow. Notice the lack of rainfall, okay? You can see there might be a few showers down here, but even though we've got the chance of a shower in the forecast tomorrow, it's just a chance. Most areas don't see rainfall, and that heat index does make it to 100, and that's why it's a first alert weather day. Okay, then when we head on into Friday, notice there's a little bit more shower activity, but most of it up to the north. And if you look at the different models, it doesn't have it in here until probably after 11 o'clock. So by chance, if you're going down to Great American Ballpark for Fireworks Friday, it's always kind of cool down there when they dim the lights and you start seeing the fireworks go off. It looks at this point like the rain will hold off till after the game. So a really steamy day and evening down at Great American Ballpark, and the heat index peaks at about 101. So it's another hot day, and we may have a second first alert weather day. Head on into Saturday. Heat index does it to 101 once again. And there's a little bit more shower activity in the area. Now, when you look at this particular model is a global model. So the really fine detailed models that we have that are more local have a grid size of about 3 kilometers, okay? In other words, about 1.5 miles on a side. all right? And this one is about 9 kilometers, and so it can't show you individual cells. So this is an area where there'll be scattered showers and thunderstorms. Not solid raining here. This is just the interpretation of this model is, hey, we're looking at scattered showers and thunderstorms, 3:20 p.m. Saturday from Hamilton County west to a good portion of southeast Indiana. Okay, and then we head on into Sunday now. Again, more scattered showers and thunderstorms. The cloud cover thicker, the temperature a bit cooler, so the heat index only 95. As you head on into Monday, a few scattered showers and thunderstorms earlier in the day, heat index 100. Tuesday, the heat index up to 99. Wednesday, the heat index was in the 90s, and then we go to Thursday and it drops into the 80s. And then as we head into Friday, look at that. The temperature and heat index both in the low 80s with a dew point of 51. A dew point of 51 is very, very comfortable. And the reason we've got that, remember that northwest flow, that big mass of hot air moving off to the west, and the jet stream coming out of the north and west, well, that's bringing that air out of Canada, and that's where we get the dew point of 51 degrees. Okay, so this evening what we're looking at is this. We're looking at a current temperature of 86, dropping to 76, so down 10 more degrees by 11 p.m. Sun's down at 8:58, so you've got an hour and 32 minutes before sunset. Overnight, temperatures drop off into the low 70s. Some spots will make the upper 60s, but mostly low to mid 70s around the tri-state. And Thursday, the high temperature looks to me 92. That's significantly warmer than normal. We're talking about on the high temperature side, we're talking about 6 degrees warmer than normal. On the low temperature side, we're talking about 6. So it's going to be a day that's about 6 degrees warmer than normal. And then you throw in the humidity and the heat index, and that peaks at over 100. So again, it's going to be a hot day tomorrow, no doubt about that. All right, now here are the newest forecasts from the Climate Prediction Center. And remember yesterday we showed you that cooler air that's settling into the tri-state. Well, this is the new 6 to 10 day outlook that goes through the 2nd of August, and you can see up to the north, from New England through the Great Lakes into the northern plains, it has cooled off significantly. We are still warmer than normal, first, second level warmer than normal here. So we're still warmer than normal, it looks like, through the rest of the month into the 2nd of August. And there you can see it a little bit better. Now let's look at the 8 to 14 day outlook and see what happens to that cool air up to the north. It sinks southward, and that's exactly what you would expect. Remember, we've got the big hot air mass down here, the jet stream flowing like this, and so that cool air that moves southward out of Canada and dominated from New England over into the northern plains is being pushed southward by that flow, and that's giving us a little bit of a break. So we're talking about this through the 6th of August. We should be cooler than normal. And then if we go back to the forecast that was put out Friday by the Climate Prediction Center, the 3 to 4 week outlook, it looks like we'll snap back into warmer than normal weather. Precipitation-wise, whenever you get cooler weather like that during the summer, you typically think in terms of less precipitation than normal. So now they're saying precipitation near normal in the Fox 19 now viewing area, and all this where the cool air is that shade is a little bit less than normal precipitation. All right, so let's see where that goes. Okay, so the lower than normal precipitation comes south, and the northern half of the Fox 19 now viewing area, a little bit less than normal, about normal in the southern half, and so we're going to be somewhere around normal, maybe a little drier than normal through the 6th of August. And then the Climate Prediction Center said that there's going to be a big area through the 18th of August with precipitation lower than normal down there, and we'll have to see how that works out, because remember, we've got that big hot air mass back here. Some of the models say it's going to be expanding eastward, so we could end up hot and dry before we get to the middle of the month. And we'll keep an eye on that and let you know. But right now, we're just looking at what the models say. And so think in terms of, hey, maybe once we get past the middle of August into September, we might go into a very dry spell here. All right, so here is the 7-day forecast. Tomorrow, the red bar, first alert weather day. Now, you see the high temperatures there in white. The smaller orange numbers, they're the ones that are the heat index values, the peak heat index. So, first alert weather day tomorrow. This particular model says 99 for the heat index peak. That's only one location at 1 hour. And so, most areas will see the heat index top out at over 100. We're looking at 101, 102, 93, 105, 196 as we head through the 7-day forecast. So every single day has a heat index higher than 95 or 93 degrees. And the Reds play Friday night. It's Great American Ballpark's Fireworks Friday. Should be a steamy night down there, but we're thinking the rain will hold off on Friday night until after the game and then just scattered. And as we head on into the weekend, Saturday, scattered storms, Sunday, scattered storms. Neither day a washout. The models are decreasing the amount of rainfall, and so that allows us to increase the temperature Saturday to 91. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, high temperatures in the 90s, spotty storms on Monday, steamy with filtered sunshine for Tuesday and Wednesday. Okay. So that adds up to a pretty steamy, hot, and humid, uncomfortable, air conditioner intense week here, this 7-day forecast. We do have relief on the way. Remember, the big mass of hot air moving to the west, the jet stream becoming more northwesterly, bringing that air from Canada. So here's what that looks like. All right. So notice the high temperatures drop into the low 80s starting on the 1st of August. Okay. The low temperatures drop into the low 60s starting on the morning of the 2nd of August. And look at the heat index values, 98, 94, and then we see the heat index values drop into the 80s until we get to the 6th when it gets back up to 90, which is about normal. So, and I'm doubting, I think that heat index value of 90 on the 6th is probably too high. But overall, beyond the 7-day forecast shows some relief. Now, not only is this cooler weather, because in the summer there's a couple of ways you can get lower temperatures, okay? One of the ways is for cooler air to come in out of Canada, duh. You know, that's like, yeah, that's, I know you know that. But another way in the summer is to have a lot of cloud covered and rain. It doesn't mean it's cool and comfortable. It could be cool and steamy. But this one is because air's coming out of Canada. So what we're looking at here is we're looking at dry weather probably Friday the 1st through the 6th, probably pretty dry there. And then low temperatures dropping into the low 60s, high temperatures dropping into the low 80s, and definite relief. Look at this, a day with a heat index of 80, another one with 80, an 86 and 87 on either end, add up to a pretty nice break in the weather that's coming our way. Now, the eyeball here is, again, that eyeball was on here yesterday also, and I mentioned it could be the 31st or the 1st. Well, the model now has accelerated the movement of any cold fronts coming out of Canada. And so it may be the 30th or the 31st. It could be late night the 29th into the morning of the 31st when that front gets here. So we're just going to keep an eye open for the last couple days of July. I think by the 1st of August, it's already a done deal. We're not worried about any severe weather, but we do have that chance for some severe weather the last 3 days of the month of July. We just have to keep an eye on it. So the 29th, 30th, or 31st. And the reason I have to be kind of iffy like that is because these systems have a way of stalling or speeding up. And so it may speed up and be through here before that. It may stall and not get here till the 31st. But all the models are kind of in agreement. But by the 1st of August, we're beginning to get on the lower side. And I'm looking, you think 81 with a heat index of 94, how does that happen? Well, that's probably because these aren't in sync. In other words, the temperatures may drop to 81 and we have a 94 heat index earlier in the day. But the big picture here, even though we can't ferret out all the specific details hour by hour, the big picture here is it looks like we've got a stretch of nice weather coming our way without this excessive heat. And another, that stretch, and a couple nice nights to throw open the windows, air out the house, give the AC a little bit of a rest. Okay, so here's what that looks like when we're looking at it on one big long graph. You can see the hot and humid weather with high temperatures in the 90s from the 24th through the 26th, then 89, then another 3 days in the 90s. Then the nicer air from Canada arrives around the 1st. And we see the high and low temperatures going to a little bit below normal, and that is something to look forward to. Okay, so the takeaway here is this takes us all the way out to the 6th of August. The 3 to 4 week outlook says, well, after that we may begin to dry out and get hot again. So we're not out of the woods. I mean, this relief is coming our way. It's only temporary because summer is still in full force. So what this is saying is that Okay, we've got some relief coming our way, but after we get past the 6th, we have to watch for the heat to build, for the dryness to increase. We have to watch out, like last year, for a drought to form. Right now, it doesn't look like it's going to happen, but we still have to watch it and see if it does form. But some relief, and then back to some hotter and drier weather as we head past the 6th of August. Okay, let me head on over to Facebook. Not that one, this one. Okay, and see what we got here. Stephen Bryce Campbell says, I hope no chance of tornadoes in August. Okay, the only chance, well, and again, the relief that we are getting that's coming our way is that is going to be in here around the 1st of August. So, and I mentioned I put right in this area is where I put that eyeball in the other graphic. And so as we end the month, we have that chance of getting some severe storms, okay? It's way too early to even say if what will happen, what the main threat will be, but we have to keep our eyes open for the threat of severe storms near the end of the month, and then as we head into the beginning of the month, at least it looks like there's not much of a chance of any kind of severe weather through the 6th of August, so we'll keep an eye on that very, very closely, but right now. And then Jeff Beechler, and you, if you're a frequent watcher, Jeff Beechler is talking about snow. We just call him the snowman. All right, but no snow yet, Jeff. And then Susan Wally says, good evening. Hope you're getting excited. Yeah, I am getting excited about retirement. You know, I was working yesterday. I don't know if I told you all this or that, but when we bought our house back in 1999, it had a built-in 16 by 32 pool. And we were going to fill it in right away, but because of all the other stuff we had to do to the house, we decided not to. And so we've had it since we started using it in the summer of 2000, because we didn't move in until the spring of 2000 after doing some remodeling. And we've used it every summer since then. And it doesn't take that much work. Once you get it up and rolling, you just do a little bit at a time. It doesn't really take that much of a time commitment, at least ours didn't. So we decided to fill it in. But to fill it in, of course, you've got to get a bobcat in there. We just could not get the big trucks into the location. So we had the big truck. We tore up the driveway, okay, the old blacktop driveway, because it needed to go anyway. The first step was we were going to replace the driveway, and out back there was like a 20 by 25 parking pad. We were going to replace that because it's blacktop from, oh my gosh, it's like 3 layers of blacktop, and the first layer must have been put in the 60s. So what we were going to do, we were going to take our pool, okay, we prepared it, we were going to take all the old blacktop, and we did about approximately 23 cubic yards of blacktop, broke it up as much as we could and laid all the chunks down level on the bottom. Then we brought in 120 tons of gravel and put that in there, 30 cubic yards, of topsoil. And of course, what they did is, since they couldn't get the big trucks in, they had to dump it on the old driveway. And the guys with the bobcat shoveled it up, took it to the pool, dumped it in, and eventually built a ramp so they could get down there and roll it out. And took 94 bucket loads of the gravel and topsoil to fill that pool up. It's amazing. And so now we're growing grass in it. But we were tired of it. It cost a lot to run the motor all the time and keep the filter going. And we have 10 dogs, and even if you train the dogs to go over to the ramp, that we had a floating ramp they could get out, if they get knocked in, they panic and they don't think about that. So we didn't want any of the dogs to be injured, and we didn't use it much anymore anyway. So I don't know how I got off on this tangent. Oh well. So okay, let me see. There's something going on here I didn't catch it. So now I'll keep going because I got off on a tangent and I don't know how I got off on it. Okay. Kathy Morrison said, thanks for all the years you've served the weather station. Thank you very much. Of course, it's my job and I enjoy it. I mean, this is a great job, perfectly suited to me. And I tell you what, the business has changed a lot, and it's time. I mean, it's time. I want to spend some more time just hanging out around the house, playing with the dogs and all that. And it's time to hand it over to the younger people who've got some new, innovative ideas. So, And I remember when I was at Channel 5 years ago, we got the very first weather computer in this market. In other words, where you can put the maps on the screen and all that behind you. And to tell you how things have changed, we also had a monitor hooked to that so that every time we built a graphic, we had to hit a button to see what it looked like in black and white. Because if you didn't have enough contrast, it wouldn't show up in black and white. And more than half of the televisions in the market when I started doing TV weather were still in black and white. So that kind of dates it. That tells you how long it was. But thank you for the compliment, Kathy. And Jeff Beechler says, dang, no snow, I need it. Harvey likes my sun tie. Thank you very much. This is a Save the Children sun tie. A young woman named Stephanie, age 7, titled her tie Cool Summer Sun. So that was Stephanie, age 7, that designed this, and it was put together and sold by Save the Children to help raise money for their operations. Yeah, and that's right. Harvey Day Jr., replying to Kathy Morrison, said, I worked in at least 2 other stations. I started my career at Channel 5, and I started behind the scenes working for the chief meteorologist here named Tony Sands. And I was teaching school at Dater Junior High in the West Side. And I wasn't really happy being a teacher. It's the hardest job I've ever had in a city school. And so I wrote Tony a letter saying, hey, is there any possibilities of getting a job there? And he said, well, nothing for a while, but you're welcome to come on down. So I went down about 3 days a week for about a year. Then at that time, nobody did weekend weather. And so they asked me if I was interested in it, and I had to do, oh my gosh, I did like 35 sessions where I practiced and recording the weather. And each session was about 5, so I did over 100 tryout tapes. And finally I got to the point where they thought I could do it. And so I started in TV in 1977, just behind the scenes, and I started on the air in 1978 at Channel 5. After that, I went, after about 10 years at 5, I went to Channel 12, spent 20 years there, and since 2008, I've been here at Fox 19. So, and I'm a native. I grew up in Cincinnati. I was born at Good Sam Hospital. I was born on August 4th, back in 1953, and that was part of the heat wave. And so my mom was in labor. I was born at 1:35 in the morning, August 4th. So it was August 3rd, all day long, she was in labor. She was in labor for 17 hours. They didn't have air conditioning in hospitals then. And the doctors wouldn't allow fans to blow on the women that were pregnant because they thought it spread germs. And so she said all they had was like towels to put on your head or ice chips. And she was in labor when it was 96 degrees for 17 hours. And as soon as I started doing weather, my mom said, I knew it. I knew you'd end up doing weather. You just had to after that. So, and I was the first child. So that's enough about that. Okay, let's go on. So Harvey Day Jr. says to Jeff Beechler, okay. Jeff says, I want my snow, and Harvey Day says, people in Hades want ice cubes. So, okay. Let's see. Jeff Beechler says, working outside in this heat, he's done with it. And hey, Jeff, and it's going to get even worse. Tomorrow, Friday, and I guess you're off on the weekends, but Monday and Tuesday look pretty darn sticky too. And Jeff Beechler said, and Steve's going to have missed me asking for snow. I sure am. All right. Those are all the comments. I thank you very much for joining me. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll do this again. And we'll talk more about when the relief you see behind me is going to get here, if it's going to get here. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I had put myself on screen and that I wasn't talking all that time as a disembodied voice. So we'll see if this shifts any. We'll see if that chance of severe weather looks like it's going to continue to develop, or if it won't develop, and that's a possibility. And we'll do more tomorrow. So thank you for joining me. Have yourself a nice evening. Stay cool, and make sure you keep the fluids up, keep the electrolytes at enough of a level and in balance, and keep your blood sugar high. And those three things really go a long way to helping you beat the heat.